YouTube, what it do? It's your boy Nate J back with another video back in the vault. As y'all see by the title, we'll be talking about living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I was one of those people that was living paycheck to paycheck. I really didn't have a high stream of income like that. Um, well, my income wasn't that high, but I heard of people with six figures that live paycheck to paycheck, and it just comes down to like your lifestyle. Like whatever your lifestyle looks like, it's gonna be a reflection of what your financial situation looks like. If you live above your means, then and you're living and you make a six figure salary, 6 figures a year, hey, you could be living paycheck to paycheck because your lifestyle inflated with your income. But um, what I've learned is best to do is to live below your means, so that you can stay on top of things, bars. So yeah, we're gonna check out this video or these TikToks, man. We're gonna get into it. So let's get it.
This is how you'll know that you're living paycheck to paycheck. If you work, you barely sleep, and you work again, and you still can't even afford to live the bare minimum lifestyle, there you go. Bingo, bam, boop, bada, bing. You are living paycheck to paycheck. But I want you to understand something. It gets to a point in life where you sit down and you make the T-chart. The pros and cons T-chart. And you write down what's working, what's not working, why it is working, and why it just don't make no sense. I don't just think that your 20s are for grinding, and your 30s are for building, and your 40s is when you start living it. I don't believe in that. I'm going to tell you why. I do think that your 20s are for grinding, but finding ways to finesse, finding the strategy. Because if you overlook the strategy, you will always struggle. See, because when it came to money, when it came to making the money, when it came to a job, when it came to a career, my biggest goal was there's no way in the world that I can work, never have any opportunity to really do anything outside of work, and I still can't afford to pay my bills, basic things, and obtain other necessities that I quite literally need, like a vehicle, a working, reliable vehicle. So I am a firm believer that strategy is how you'll learn to navigate not living paycheck to paycheck. Most of the people who live paycheck to paycheck only live paycheck to paycheck because they don't have enough money coming in. This is how you'll know that you're living.
Hey, great. Hey, she was dropping some gems, man. Dropping some great gems, man, for sure. You definitely need a strategy for sure. Um, and like she said, man, your 20s is for, learning the strategy, grinding, learning the strategy, you feel me? I know for me in my 20s, because I'm in my 30s and I'm in my early 30s, so for me, I did things the wrong way, right? I'll just say that I did things the wrong way to where my 30-year-old self or my early 30-year-old self had to play catch up and was like, all right, bro, you need to chill out. You know what I'm saying? You ain't in your 20s no more. As soon as you hit 29, you're no longer 20s anymore. You're in your 30s when you hit 29. So, for me, I can look back and say I did things completely the wrong way. I didn't have a strategy. I was just living life as if it was gonna last forever. The finance was gonna last forever. When in actuality, it didn't, for sure. So yeah, man. Like you said, have a strategy for sure. Especially when I see like these 21-year-old, these really like the early 20-year-old. I can't say kids, but 20 early 20-year-old young adults. I see them, doing their thing, starting clothing brands and things like that. Uh, the thought that runs through my mind is I hope they're doing things the right way when it comes to their finances and handling things like the proper way for sure. Because they don't want to wait till they late in their 20s or about to knocking on 30 and like, oh, I didn't do anything right. I splurged. I raised my income level, or yeah, I raised my income level and my lifestyle, and I have nothing to show for it. So, yeah, great take for sure. I think we have another one from her real quick.
And I'm led to believe that living paycheck to paycheck is not really about the money, but mainly about the habit. In reality, it costs money to buy groceries. It costs money to cook at home. It costs money to put gas in a vehicle and to drive only to work and back home. It's still gonna cost you some money. And when you start to think about two different situations and see just how both of those situations are actually detrimental based off of habit, then it kind of shapes your perspective when it comes to living paycheck to paycheck. See, because somebody over here that doesn't necessarily eat takeout every day and spend their money on restaurant food and door dashing could also be the same person who goes to the grocery store. They buy groceries, they do everything the correct way. They got a bad habit of eating. They just be eating. They be snacking. They having 3, 4, 5 meals a day. They cooking up all the groceries before the first week even over. Eventually, that same person who spent $200 to $300 on the groceries gonna end up back at the grocery store within the second or third week, and the month ain't even over yet. It's a habit issue,
Yeah.
not just a money issue. Because when you can control your habits, is when you can control your money. And I'm led to believe that living pay.
No, just playing. But yeah, hey, she made a great point, bro. Your habits is what defines it, bro. Like, just like you said, or just like she said, great example. Like, you could be somebody that goes to the grocery store, like we always, or like people always preach, buy groceries, go grocery shopping instead of eating out. But that same person that used to eat out all the time could be that same person that has that same eating habit, buying groceries, and you know, just like she said, goes through that week and cooks up everything that they bought and eats up everything that they bought in just that one week, and now they back at the grocery store the next weekend. And it's just as bad as eating out. you know. So yeah, great point, great point. All about perspective, man, for sure. So yeah, great takes on that, man. Let's go to the next one.
Finding yourself living paycheck to paycheck is probably one of the most stressful things about being an adult. It's not fun. Feeling like you're one paycheck away from, things being taken away from you, losing housing or bills being overdue or, utilities getting shut off. It's very stressful. So, my main goal for 2026 is to educate as many people and motivate as many people as I can to get out of the paycheck to paycheck rat race or cycle or whatever you want to call it, and to get into a financial position where if something happens, your tire blows, an unexpected medical expense comes up, your electricity bill or gas bill is higher than you expected in the winter, that you are not falling apart, going into debt, having to put things on credit cards just to survive. So that is my goal, is to educate as many people this year and get as many people as I possibly can out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle.
Yeah, yeah, and this is a cycle that you do not want to be in, for sure. Like I said, I've been there. I've definitely been there, man. And one of those things that really helped me get out of that was budgeting and knowing my numbers and just properly, like, doing what for me. What really did it for me was the 50-30-20, and I heard about the 50-30-20 like in my, I would say my mid 20s, but I just never really like applied it to my finances like that. This is when I still only had a checking and a savings account in one bank. So yeah, I was just using my, or I had a savings, but it was really like checking account number two. You feel me? And then on top of that, using credit cards. So it's like I'm using money or spending money that I didn't have with the credit cards, but then also at the same time treating my savings account. Anytime I put something in there, I would pull it right back out and use it. So it's like, I had to break that cycle first. I had to break that cycle mentally and things like that. And then once I got past that point, then I started to like apply the, like I said, the 50-30-20 rule. And that right there was what really like took my finances to another level. And yeah, man. Yeah, I'm not gonna go deep into it, but yeah, because we already talked about it in like I think one of the first videos that I talked about. So yeah, great take, man. I'm definitely gonna be following her journey. Let me follow her real quick. Follow. So yeah, go check out her journey, man, for sure. Let's go to the next one.
The only time I want to hear you say you're living paycheck to paycheck is when you told every single dollar where to go. Because living paycheck to paycheck without a plan is chaos. But living paycheck to paycheck with a plan, that's clarity. A lot of people say that they're broke, but they never sat down and actually gave their money a job. So you know what normally happens? The money disappears, but the
Yeah.
stress stays. So paycheck to paycheck isn't always an income problem. Sometimes it's a direction problem. And when you actually tell your money where to go, that's when you stop guessing, scrambling, and feeling behind. And that, my friend, is how you move from surviving your money to actually managing it. The only time
Facts, facts. Going back, like I said, going back to the 50-30-20. That's where. Well, now I can talk about it, but that's where I started to like understand like where my money was going, and what to like where to like tell it where to go, basically. You know what I'm saying? Instead of it controlling me, like, oh man, I got this bill coming, I got that bill, but now like beforehand, you structure things out, you write things out, right, and you say, hey, look, I'm putting, or I don't know, 30% of my income is going towards, or it's for savings. 50% or yeah, 50% is going to expenses, and then within that 50%, now you're directing. Okay, look, this is going to this bill, that bill. You know what I'm saying? So you're actually managing it and telling it what to do instead of you just guessing. You know. So yeah, that right there really gave me more confidence, like with my money. Once I started to tell it, hey, look, this is what you're gonna do. This is where you're going. This is where you're going. You're staying here. And all that good stuff. So yeah, man, great take. Great take. Let's go. I think this is probably the last one. Let's see.
The way that I
Yep.
really changed my relationship with money was to get inside my head and try to figure out what are my thoughts surrounding money? Why do I think that I was living paycheck to paycheck? Why do I think that I don't have enough? What can I do to make sure that I'm stewarding my money well? I feel like oftentimes, like for example, we spend money on so many things that we don't need that we don't even spend money on the things that will help improve our lives, right? And I have to talk about the people who I have listened to kind of help me believe in myself and kind of change my mindset. Like for example, Mel Robbins. I also even read her book, The Let Them Theory. Stephen Bartlett. He sits down with many top professionals in their careers, CEOs. I also have listened to Emma Grede. She has scaled Good American to the top, right? So I am like feeding my mind with things that I've seen people talk about how they had to struggle before they got to where they were, but not necessarily all about money, but then also just the beliefs that you carry and hold about yourself, right? I even took a bookkeeping course on Coursera. Like, of course, I was trying to learn bookkeeping and really figure out, like, okay, this is a skill, just kind of stretch my mind. But even the principles of accounting, the basics of, return on investment, what's a liability, what's seen as an asset, what's seen as, equity, and the things that I spend my money on and running my life like a business. I think Emma Grede actually like made a video about that. Run your life like it's a business. And I know that in all aspects, you can't really run your life like it's a business. But for the most part, when it comes to your money, you can run your life like a business. You are your own CEO. All right. You know what's a liability to your life and to your finances. You know what's an asset to your life and to your finances. You know what's equity to your life and finances. So if you could align yourself with all the thoughts and the visions that you have for yourself, eventually they will bear fruit. You know what I mean? Nobody is really going to do the work for us. And I know we see so many people say that. I will continue to say that because as a girlie who once lived paycheck to paycheck, I really know what it means to feel like if one thing happens, I am going to be fucking on the ground crying. Okay?
Nice.
You can do it. The way that I really
Yeah.
changed my
Hey, great way to end out the video. Um, yeah, man. I know for me, that phrase "pay yourself first" really like changed the way that I thought about my finances, my money that came in, right? because I would always dish my money out to bills and things like that, and then for fun, and then save whatever was left when that's working backwards. No, put some money aside for yourself. Put it in the savings that's not going to be touched, non-negotiable. You know what I'm saying? Like if all of this fails, then going, but nah, it's for emergency only. Put that to the side first. Next, investments, right? Put it into your Roth IRA, brokerage account, whatever the case may be, right? Put it somewhere where it's going to, grow over time, compound interest, right? Um, and then next, the bills come next. Bills come next, right? And first, let me go back, right? Tithing. Guy got to get his percentage, right? His 10%. And then all of that follows after that, right? But yeah, and then after that, whatever's left, you know what I'm saying? If you have a specific percentage, what's for your fun money, your play money, then that's where you have your fun with what else is left, you know, and not the other way around. You're saving whatever's left. No, whatever's left after you do all of that first, once you handle your business, right? Now you can buy you a burger here to go to the movies, right? So, yeah, man, great advice, man. It's all the mindset. Really for me, it was the mindset shift, the way I thought about money, and telling myself that I can do this. You know what I'm saying? I can get out of this paycheck to paycheck cycle, you know. So yeah, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you want to get out, trust me, it's possible. You just have to change your mindset first, you know, and just make the decision to say, hey, look, I'm going to do this, and then take action upon it. So yeah, man, know your numbers too. Know your numbers for sure. I know people want to. I know for me, like I said, I ran away from my numbers all the time, but once I faced my numbers head on, then that's where clarity came into play, and that's when I understood, okay, this is what's going on, and now I can change it, or now I know how to go about it. So in order to change it, so yeah, man, we had some great TikToks, some great gems and stuff dropped. So we're gonna sign on out of the bar. If y'all are new, you like what you see, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe, comment, give your feedback on some of these TikToks that we saw, man. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, man. With that being said, it's your boy Nate J signing out of the vault. Deuces.